Good morning and welcome to another fabulous day of living in the back of my van. So today's gonna be a good day. I'm actually very excited about the plan for today, but even more so than that, I'm excited about the spot we slept in last night because it was absolutely spectacular. The views from outside my window were absolutely immaculate, and you guys are really not gonna believe it when you see it. So this is what van life is all about. I mean, sleeping in places like this, it's just so incredible. I just can't get over it. Look at that. Just kidding. We're in a Walmart parking lot. Which, to be fair, is actually one of my favorite places to sleep in the van. Except for on certain nights, like last night, when they do their parking lot cleanup because they have a street sweeper that comes around, and it's super loud, and they don't come around till like 12:30 or 1 a.m. and they just drive around the parking lot and sweep everything up for about an hour, so that sucks, so it kept me up late. So we slept in a little bit today. It's not that big of a deal. We're kind of close to where we're gonna be camping tonight anyways. I slept in a Walmart, one, because I didn't feel like driving any further, and two, because I gotta grab a few ingredients for what I have planned tonight. So we're gonna be cooking a pretty big dinner somewhere up in the mountains, ideally. And also, look at how clean she is. Took some time last night, cleaned her up, wiped down the backsplash, cleaned everything off, swept the floors thoroughly, which they really needed. Very spiffy. The reason that I parked in this Walmart parking lot, like I said, is one, because I didn't want to drive anymore, and two, because there was a few ingredients that I still needed to get for my dinner tonight. Because yesterday I went to the Asian market and got a bunch of stuff to do a Korean barbecue feast up in the mountains tonight. Gotta get some Korean pears. Pork belly, get some short ribs. I really can't get over the fact that it's January right now and I'm hot. It's like 80 degrees. It's supposed to get up to 86 today. The motherland, my home away from home, Walmart. We just gotta get a few things. We got most of what we needed yesterday. Bag secured. So far away. I can never be bothered in the mornings to move my van closer to the actual Walmart. And then I end up regretting it when I gotta walk 1.5 miles to and from. But at least today we don't have too much. Oh, kind of already regret the decision to wear pants. But I feel like I wear shorts too much, so pants I feel like make me look a little bit more put together and not as much like the van bum that I am. And the place that we're going tonight up in the mountains should be a little bit cooler because of the elevation, which is nice. But the fridge is packed full of stuff to make Korean barbecue. And I got a lot of stuff. So we should be able to have a proper feast tonight. Also, one of my favorite things about going to Asian markets is they have this, which is essentially just instant pho. And it is so good. It's the only instant pho that I've ever had that genuinely tastes like a good pho. So if you're ever at an Asian market and you see this, I think sometimes it's in a green box. I'm not sure. I think last time I got it was in a green box. It might be a little different, but this one's just as good. Absolutely amazing. And it takes like 2 seconds to make. But I gotta say, I did go on this winter road trip in my van to get out of the heat, to get into some colder weather, because I was kind of missing it, because I'm from Maryland and I'm used to having 4 seasons and not being just trapped in the heat for the entirety of the year. Also, unpopular opinion, I've made videos about this before on my TikTok, but Walmart and truck stops are my favorite places to stealth camp conveniently in the van for a few reasons. One, they typically allow it, so I don't have to worry about being kicked out. And two, because contrary to popular belief, they have the cleanest bathrooms, which is always a bonus because when you're on the road, you're pretty much using public bathrooms 24/7. So when you can find clean ones, it feels a lot nicer. But it is entirely too hot where we're currently at, and it's getting hotter by the second in the back of the van. So let's get out of here and get up in the mountains. Cue montage music.
Look at myself out of my dorm in the middle of the night. I wake up kind of wired and I wake up kind of cold.
All right, we have made it here. Bloody Basin Road. This is kind of where we get off the beaten path onto some dirt roads, about 3 to 5 miles depending on where we stop to camp. It is beautiful up here. And before I come up here, there's a lot of history on this road as to why it's named Bloody Basin Road. And basically, in March of 1873, U.S. soldiers tracked down a band of Apache Indians who had killed 3 of their people to nearby Turret Peak. And the soldiers tracked them down and caught them kind of flat-footed and ended up killing 25 to 27 of them and didn't lose any troops of their own. So kind of a dark history to this road. All right, so we've been driving for quite a while trying to find a spot. I think I might try to pull in here. I don't know, this looks pretty off-roady. I want to see if I can find a spot back down there. Before we do all of that, since this is a little bit more aggressive off-road, I'm gonna walk down the path and see what it looks like. Which is kind of a smart thing to do regardless of if you're in a completely capable 4x4 vehicle or a two-wheel drive van. Especially if you're alone, just kind of makes sense. But it really doesn't look too bad. Try to find a spot that has a good view of the mountains off in the distance. And also is flat, which a lot of this stuff is. Oh! Which a lot of this stuff isn't. And my van is pretty high clearance, so I'm not really worried about getting past stuff like that where it's kind of back and forth and there's a little bit of a hump in the middle. More so when I'm walking down into places like this, I'm kind of looking for sandy spots because front wheel drive, it's a heavy vehicle, any kind of sand and I'm getting stuck. This stuff is pretty gnarly. All right, so at the end of this road, there's kind of a nice, large, flat area. This spot up here is the main reason why I walked down here, is it looked like it had a nice view. It's also on what looks like to be a road, so I don't want to block that. Maybe we'll keep driving down the road, see if we can find somewhere else. All right, so I guess it can't hurt to drive a little bit further up over that ridge and see if there's something. Worst case, come back here and drive down there. And I love how it said on the entrance to this place, this road is not recommended for passenger cars, but I'm gonna be honest, the road in here, like the main road, it's graded pretty nice. I can't imagine a car that wouldn't be able to make it down, at least this main road right here. We might take that one right there. It's got a pretty good view of the mountains. I don't know if I feel like continuing to drive down, it looks like it just gets lower and lower in elevation. This spot would be perfect if it wasn't under massive power lines, but it looks like this road just continues on. I don't know if you can see it all the way down there through the valley. No point in driving all the way down there. So yeah, let's just go back and take one of those other spots. And it does kind of suck, like the best spots that I've seen up here, like that spot right there that has this crazy view, looks like it's taken by someone who's been staying here for quite a while. And there was one other spot that had the same story where it looks like the person who's staying there has been staying there for the last couple weeks. All right, so we pulled into this spot right here, and honestly, it's a pretty good spot. It's got a pretty nice view. It is close to the main road, which isn't the best, but I don't think this road is very heavily trafficked since it's a forest service road, especially at nighttime or once the sun starts to set. And the view here is way better, but there is a spot, if I follow this road, maybe about a quarter mile, you can almost see it right there. There's a nice flat level spot that's a little bit more secluded off the road, but since it's lower into that valley, all you're looking at is that hill, so you don't get this view. So I don't really think it's worth it. And I'm just gonna pull up here and we'll call this camp tonight. All right. I think I've got myself as level as I can get myself in this spot, but this is it. I kind of tucked that wheel into that rut right there to get this end a little bit lower because I am slightly tilted this way. Maybe I'll get out the leveling shocks if it gets too bad, but definitely not a bad spot. And the best part, it's like 20 degrees cooler than it was down in Phoenix. It feels pretty level in here. Usually once I get in the van, I can tell. Definitely a slight lean this way, but that should be fine. So as I said, I am gonna be cooking a Korean barbecue feast. And when I say feast, I kind of mean feast. Partially because I want to, and partially because I didn't really have a choice. Because for some reason, the Asian market that I went to only had massive portion size options for all of the meats that I needed. We're gonna be making a lot. We've got enough pork belly to feed an entire family. Enough short ribs to feed an entire family, as well as enough pork belly to feed an entire family, and enough ribeye for at least 2 people. So I'm not gonna get started cooking quite yet because it is a little bit early, but I am gonna get the marinades going so that we can give them about 2 hours to marinate before we start cooking them. So that's what we're gonna do. We're making short ribs, spicy pork belly, and bulgogi, along with a bunch of other sides and different things. So for the first of our marinades, which is going to be the bulgogi, we need a folded bowl, 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. You can just imagine this is brown sugar because I somehow forgot to get it, and all I have is powdered sugar. A pinch of white pepper, 4 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil, 4 tablespoons of mirin. Okay, well that's 2. There we go. 3 tablespoons of honey. Half a cup of soy sauce. 1 chopped and blended Asian pear. And then 6 to 7 cloves of finely chopped garlic. Also, if you want to be extra fancy, some finely chopped green onions. Give that a mix. And that is pretty much it. That is our bulgogi sauce. Smells so good. So now that we've got that done, and if you're making this the correct way with brown sugar, your mixture might be a little darker than mine. But we can take our ribeye and our short ribs. And I'm gonna cut these short ribs into smaller pieces just so they don't crowd my pan as much. Didn't even use half of it. And we can get down a separate bowl, pour some of this marinade into that bowl, and then add our short ribs. And we'll let these marinate at room temperature for just about 2 hours or until we're ready to cook. Next up, prime rib. Take that out, and we're just gonna take this and we're gonna cut this as thinly as humanly possible. We wanna go for like a shaved type meat, kind of like that. This is what we're looking for our bulgogi. And there we go, beautifully shaved ribeye. Add that to the rest of our sauce, get it nice and coated, and then it's the same story for this. Let it marinate for the next 2 hours or so at room temperature. So now we can go ahead and set these over to the side. Just loosely cover them with some tin foil. Most of you guys know from the type of stuff that I cook on this channel, I'm not a cook, so I don't really ever come up with my own recipes. Sometimes I do, but they're never too complex. This one specifically I got from Josh Wiseman, and I watch his stuff all the time, but I've never made a meal from a recipe he's put out. So this is his Korean barbecue recipe that we're trying out. And if he watches this, I'm sorry that I used powdered sugar and not brown sugar, but that's all I had. But now we can move on to the marinade for our pork belly. And I don't have any other big bowls. So we'll just have to use a pot. But for our spicy pork belly marinade, we need 2 tablespoons of gochujang, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar, which I also forgot to get, so we're using white wine vinegar. The juice from 1 freshly squeezed lemon, and this is a Ryan Toomey Audible just because I had it, but I'm gonna add some spicy chili crisps, as well as a ½ teaspoon of sesame oil. And then again, if you wanna be extra fancy, you can add some finely chopped green onions. And we can give that a nice mix. That should be good to go for our pork belly. And then it's kind of the same story with the pork belly as with our ribeye. We're gonna cut this thin and get it marinating. And I kept this in the freezer to make it a little bit easier to chop, or slice, I guess. There we go, beautifully sliced. I cut it in half and honestly left it in the freezer for too long, so it was a lot harder to cut through than I would have liked. It would have been nice if it was just like slightly frozen, so it was easier to slice, but it was like a brick. But now that we've got this cut, add this to our sauce. Get all those boys nice and coated. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. And then it's kind of the same story with these guys. Let them marinate for the next 2 hours. Beautiful. So now that we've got our meat marinating and ready to go, I think the last thing I'm gonna work on, at least right now, along with making myself a quick sandwich lunch, is the sauces that we're gonna use for dipping our meat. And the 2 sauces that I'm gonna be making today are ssamjang sauce and garlic oil, which are 2 of the sauces that Joshua recommended in his recipe, and also 2 of my favorite sauces when I go out to eat Korean barbecue. America really is the best country when it comes to doing stuff like this. What other country you can have not only the views like this, but have it be free and open to the public? America's public use BLM Forest Service lands are some of the most amazing things, honestly, about this country. Lunch is done. It was much needed. Sometimes on days when I'm filming like this, I forget to eat sometimes, and I haven't even had breakfast, so definitely needed to get something in the system. Let's get to making some sauces. So when I was at the Asian market, I saw these little trays that I'm gonna use for some of the sides. These ones are gonna be for the sauces. So for our first sauce, which is ssamjang sauce, we need, and I'm probably butchering how you say that, and I'm just eyeballing this, but some gochujang, some honey, toasted sesame oil, sesame seeds, doenjang, which is just a soybean paste, and a crap ton of garlic. And that, my friends, is sauce number 1. So we'll get that all nice and mixed together. And then this is what we're left with. So that is sauce number 1. For sauce number 2 is the garlic sesame, which is a pretty simple sauce. It's just sesame oil, garlic, and some flaky finishing salt. And that is it. Not really much to it. I think that's pretty much it for the prep work I'm gonna do. other than while I'm sitting around waiting to cook this dinner, I'm just gonna get some rice boiling. And I honestly do want a rice cooker in the van because I do eat rice quite often, but I only have so much room for appliances in the van. And honestly, if I was gonna get anything else before I got a rice cooker, it would be an air fryer, but I don't even have room for that, so gotta make my rice over the stove. I also have very limited water, so I can't really wash my rice as thoroughly as I want to, but we'll give it at least 1 or 2 rinses. There we go. Get that to a boil. It does look like outside, though. This is kind of a shooting range. Some of the time. A bunch of what looks like 22s. And then some larger caliber stuff out here. And you can see the remnants of a clay pigeon. And that's just another thing people use these public lands for, because you can do them for a plethora of things. Off-roading, camping, shooting, cooking, Korean barbecue in a van. So I was just laying in bed for like 30 minutes. But the rice is done. And it's a little bit overdone. It's actually not too bad. And I guess I will probably get started cooking here on most of this stuff soon, because the sun is starting to set. Got maybe about, also if you didn't know, a quick trick you can do to see how much time you have left, the sun being up, which I guess is kind of pointless now that we have iPhones and everything else, but if you're out and you don't feel like pulling at your phone, if you hold up 4 fingers is about an hour. So we've got about an hour. You hold it up to the bottom of the sun, full arm's length, maybe an hour and a half until the sun sets, which let's see if that tracks. It is currently 4, sun sets at 6, so right around 2 hours till the sun sets. Obviously it's only an estimate. Bet you guys $3 one of these window shades comes falling off when I pull this door open. Yep. Every single time. I think that, I don't know if magnets degrade over time or what, but these just do not stick like they used to. They used to stick up here, no problem at all, but now every time I open them, they fall off. I think maybe 4 cars have driven by in the past 2.5, 3 hours that I've been here. And the one that just passed wasn't even a car, it was like a 4x4, side by side. But anyways, let's get to cooking. There's one final side dish that we have to cook, and it's something that I really like when I go to Korean barbecue, but I've never actually made it myself, and that is fish cakes. Just kidding, there's 2 sides. I forgot I was making some seasoned cucumbers as well, so we'll make those along with fish cakes. So I'm basically just gonna do a kind of fish cake stir fry. It's my understanding with this stuff that you can kind of throw whatever you want into it. One of the recipes called for like a green chili and a red chili, but I'm just gonna use green bell pepper and a red bell pepper, just because that's what I wanted to use. And we're gonna take these and we're just gonna stir fry them up with those fish cakes. And also the good thing about doing stuff like this is it's expensive the first time because you kind of got to buy all the ingredients, but a lot of the different seasonings and mixtures that go into at least seasoning the meat you can have for a while and kind of just make any kind of Korean barbecue you want, at least the more basic kinds, like the sliced beefs and the pork bellies. Also, I don't know how much you guys are on TikTok, but this song that I heard on there has been stuck in my head for the last week and a half, and I just, no matter what I do, I cannot get it out. It's one that goes like, I'm 2 days into college and I'm 3 lectures behind. Dun, 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 name him Colin. He says he wants to be mine, but it doesn't really sit with me quite right. And every time I'm not recording, I turn it on and I listen to it again. It's like ingrained in my brain. And I don't know why, because I've been out of college for like 5 years. So, into the pan, get a little bit of sesame oil, get that heating up nice and hot. I might have to close my back doors because the wind, I don't know if you can hear it, but it like blows my flame. Makes it take longer for the pot to get hot enough to cook anything, but we'll see. I kind of like having the back doors open. So this is a fish cake. I'm honestly not sure what it is. I'm guessing it's just like a fish chicken nugget. I don't know why this one's shaped like a star, but it's kind of cool. They're always served as a side at Korean barbecue places, and I really like them. So while we're waiting for that oil to heat up, I'm just gonna add the rest of the seasonings that go in here. And actually, I'm gonna throw these in there real quick first. Get some of these fish cakes in there. And then just a little bit of soy sauce, more gochujang, and then some more mirin. And then the only thing we need other than that is just a little bit of white pepper. None of that went in the pot. I'm gonna have to close those back doors. I'm also gonna sprinkle some salt on there. Give that a nice stir. Everything nice and coated, and I'm gonna have to go close that back door. Oh, pepper went right up my nose. This is the only thing that sucks about having this flip-up table right by the door. Every time I have to get out of the van, I gotta clear everything off of it. And it's getting kind of cold out, honestly. I might have to put a hoodie on soon. There we go. Now this should start cooking up. And then while we wait for that, I'm gonna finish the actual last side that we have, which is our seasoned cucumbers, but those are very, very simple to make. So we'll get that done real quick. So for these bad boys, I couldn't find a large English cucumber, so we got these, but these will be fine. Cut the ends off, and we'll just simply cut these into coins. And then basically to each one of these coins, we're gonna lightly score it in a cross pattern on one of the sides. Just like that, so it kind of looks like a checkerboard. But we're gonna repeat that with all of them. And this is, I'm guessing, this is from the recipe that I'm following, to get those flavors up in there, so they're not just sitting on the outside. There we go. Bunch of beautifully scored cucumbers. Now we can hit these with a little bit of salt, let that drain the water out of them. We'll give that about 5 minutes. And I think these are just about done. So we'll go ahead and take those out. There we go. That is our side of fish case completed. And I think we're finally ready to move on to the main attraction, which is all of these meats. We've got our spicy pork belly, our bulgogi, and our short ribs. I did also at the Asian market the other day grab this, because this is the biggest struggle I've had while cooking Korean barbecue or any kind of meat that I want to get a good sear on over a gas stove. It kind of drowns in its own oil unless you take a paper towel and dry it up as you're cooking it. But with this, it has an oil catch pan, kind of like you'd see at a Korean barbecue restaurant. So all the oil drains off and you get nice crispy meat. So I've got all my meats set up on my table right next to me. And I think we're good to finally cook it. And it is getting a little bit chilly out. I'm gonna throw my hoodie on and make sure I get my apron on as well. Also, this hoodie is actually my merch. So it's got the coordinates. This is from my trip up to Alaska. We just restocked with a bunch of different colorways. It's got the coordinates of the Brooks Range and the Adigan Pass, which is the highest mountain pass on the Dalton Highway, also known as the Hull Road, or the road from the show Ice Road Truckers that goes from Fairbanks all the way up to Prudhoe Bay, north of the Arctic Circle and the Arctic Ocean. And then this on the back is the topographic map of the Brooks Range and the Adigan Pass. If you like it, get yourself one. If you don't, don't. Either way, still appreciate you guys. Let's get this meat cooking. I'm excited to see how this thing works. Get some sesame oil on there. Let that get nice and hot. All right, I think she's just about ready. So I think we'll start off with the non-spicy stuff so we don't get it kind of mixed in with the spicy stuff. And we're just gonna kind of cook this in batches. Oh, wow. And this might take a while. I got a lot of meat. First batch done. Now we just got to do it with the rest of this bulgogi. Alrighty, bulgogi finished, and it actually browned it up beautifully. Camera won't focus on it for some reason, but it looks absolutely delicious. Pen's pretty nice. Came with this little hook thing, so I can like take this out, pop that down, and clean it off when I need to. But there's plenty of room left in that little grease reservoir, but I think I am gonna get it emptied out before my next round, just because I don't feel like dealing with having it overflowing. So all of the grease is kind of trapped around here. I'll do my best to drain as much of it as I can without spilling it. Wow, none of it's stuck too. That's actually pretty amazing. Ready for round two and the short ribs. Woo! It smells absolutely delicious in here. Let's give this bulgogi a first little taste test. Look at that. Oh, all right. Short rib time. Oh, look at that. All right. First round done. Whoa! Alrighty. There we go. And I'm definitely gonna have to go open that back door, I think. Getting a little too smoky in here. Oh gosh, I gotta crawl under this stupid thing. Look at that sunset too, wow. Should crack it open a little bit. Get some airflow coming through so I don't smoke myself out of the van. Alrighty, back in we go. Okay, all right. So I rearranged my thing over here, and I don't think I have enough room for more of these on here, so I'm just gonna set these to the side in this bowl. This second batch is finished, and now we can move on to the spicy pork belly. And before we do that, you can kind of see how much water has drained out of these cucumbers. Oh, just from putting that salt on them. You can drain that out. Give those a nice rinse. And this is the last thing we got to do, I think, in terms of prep. But we will just take some of that spicy chili oil, spoon that onto those cucumbers. And then I didn't have any lemon juice left over, but I did get this from the gas station the other day when I camped there. So, squirt some of this lemon juice on there. And that is pretty much it for our spicy cucumbers. So now we've got everything ready except for these spicy pork bellies, but those will be done in about 4 minutes. And I think in terms of plating, I'm gonna put these cucumbers on here with the meat. And then use this bowl for my rice. There we go. This is starting to look real good. My van's gonna smell like Korean barbecue for the next 2 weeks, but it smelled like worse. Without further ado, pork belly! There's no way I'd be able to cook this without the door open now. And while we're cooking this, the last 2 things that I need for this meal is just some lettuce. And I got some of these just cause. Little seaweed snacks. Smells so good. All right, I think we only got just about 1 more batch of pork belly, maybe 2, and then we're done. All right, I think these last few pieces are finally done, and we can finally, feels like I've been cooking all day, which I guess I kind of have, eat this magnificent feast. Now, I know what a lot of you guys might be thinking. Ryan, that is way too much food for 1 person, and you're completely right. But it's kind of a lot of effort to make this stuff, so I made enough for a couple days so that I can have this for lunch, dinner, whenever I want to eat it. I got enough seasoning left over for the rest of the meat, so I only have to do the whole cooking thing once, and then whenever I want it, I can just throw it on the grill and be done with it. And I got some leftovers for tomorrow, so before this gets too cold, let's bring it outside and let's eat. There's also kind of a bunch of bugs starting to fly into the van, so I want to get the doors closed. Now that is a feast and a view. Genuinely, I don't even know where to start. I think I'm gonna start with this pork belly. Cheers. Try some of this sesame oil sauce. Absolutely divine. So good. I think I like the bulgogi a little bit better, but I think I should have added a little more spice to this spicy pork belly. There's not really any kick to it. Next sauce up, the Samjang sauce. Ooh, I really like that one. I've always kind of liked that sauce better than the sesame oil. Just kind of depends on what mood I'm in. But look at this. Absolutely stunning sunset tonight too. So I guess I'll take this time for anybody who doesn't know how I ended up in the middle of the desert cooking a Korean barbecue feast on film. I used to work for the government on the F-35 program, and then at DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, for 3 years pre-COVID. So this was before COVID. My commute to work used to be 2 hours each way, driving from where I lived in Maryland down to the southern tip of Maryland at Pax River Naval Base, and then in Arlington, Virginia for a little while working at DARPA. Long story short, worked there for a while, saved up like 10 grand in my bank account. And while I was working there, I'd always see these videos online, not necessarily van life videos, but of people working from their computers in places like Bali and all over the world. And I thought it looked so cool, but I had to go to the office every day, so it really wasn't an option. And then COVID hit. And after a few months, when it didn't look like we were going back to the office, I was like, this might be the only time that I have tried to do that. And I figured I don't have a lot of money saved up, so I can't really just up and go to Bali. Also, I had a security clearance. I don't even think I could have worked internationally. So I settled on this. van life is the most economical choice to be able to do that. And I figured worst case scenario, if I do decide to do this and build out the van, I could sell it and I still have my job. So it doesn't really matter. But after 6 months of building it, I finally got it done. We still were back in the office. So I went on the road full time for 4 months while working my government job. So I had my government laptop with me. I had to log on every day. I could only park in places that had Wi-Fi. I was essentially just in parking lots. And then on the weekends, I would zip over to national parks and then go back to parking lots for a week. And then zip over to national parks and go back to parking lots. And I started kind of documenting my stuff on TikTok. And I did that for about a year, 6 months of which I lived out of my van in my parents' driveway. And then one day I got a brand deal through my TikTok for $500 every 2 weeks. And I thought to myself, maybe I'm $20,000 in credit card debt because I decided to build this van out on a credit card. But that $500 every 2 weeks brand deal gave me what I thought was at least a 3-month runway to where I could pay the minimum balance of my credit card debt, afford some gas, and be able to buy some food without working my full-time job and try to go all in on this whole content thing. And so I quit my cushy government job for $500 every 2 weeks, went all in, and kind of the rest is history. So I didn't come into this whole van life thing expecting to turn it into my full-time job. I never would have thought in a million years. I don't have much of a YouTube personality that anyone would want to sit there and watch me do anything for any amount of time, let alone for 30 minutes cooking food, being an idiot all over the country. The fact that this is what I get to do is just beyond amazing. And I really do, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank you guys, because none of this would be a possibility without you guys. And I don't really say it enough. I know I say it at the end of each of my videos, but I truly do appreciate you guys and all the nice comments and kind words you guys leave, and the likes, the shares, and being kind of my companion out here on the road for the last 2 years. Holy crap, look at this sunset. Look at that. I love when the clouds do that. But essentially, one decision led to another, an opportunity arose, and I kind of jumped at it. That's me in a nutshell. Also, fun fact, I never really watched YouTube, and I never really did watch YouTube before I became a creator on this platform. So I had no idea how to film, edit, or do anything that I do pretty much on a daily basis now before I started. And I did take a lot of inspiration from when I was first starting my channel. My friend showed me Mav. In the beginning, I took a lot of inspiration from his videos. I've kind of taken that and made it my own now, but in the beginning, that's what I used. Oh my God. Look at the sunset. It just keeps getting better. Like, that is magnificent. If I was a little bit higher up over this ridge, looking over those mountains. But anyways, that's a little bit about me. Also, shout out to Mav. He makes absolutely great videos. And since my friend showed me, I've become a really big fan. And I'm full. This is way too much food. I think I'm gonna sit out here for the next 10 or 15 minutes, enjoy the sunset, and not talk to a camera. So I will catch you guys in a little bit. Welcome back. So the sun is fully set. Can't see anything outside, but it is officially nighttime out. I got most of the stuff cleaned up. All my leftovers are there. We've got a bunch, enough for lunch and dinner tomorrow. I also got myself some of these. Feel the flavor of Korea. That's what it says on the bottom there. And then this one. So I got a rice punch and I got a peach something. I don't know. We're gonna try both of them. They're super small. Cheers. Not gonna lie, I hate that one. I meant to drink these with dinner, but kind of got sidetracked with all the cooking and stuff. I also got this Japanese cake, Shoido. I don't know, it looks good. So I'm gonna have a small piece of it for dessert tonight. Save the rest for tomorrow. Ooh, this feels crazy. It feels like a kitchen sponge. So, cheers. Oh, wow. That is good. It's almost like an angel fruit cake, but not really a fan of this one. It tastes good with the cake. It's kind of something maybe I'd have it for breakfast, but I don't think I'd have that with dinner. Let's try this mango one, or this peach one. Oh, that one's good. It's basically just peach juice though. I think I'm gonna hit the hay pretty soon. Cooking and eating all that kind of took it out of me. So get all this cleaned up, get to bed, and I will catch you guys in the morning. Morning. I got woken up by the wind this morning, but when I got woken up, I peeled back my blinds and I saw a bunch of clouds up in the sky off in the distance that kind of look like they might be storm clouds-ish. And I checked the weather and it said there's, I don't know how this works, but it went from a 0% chance of rain today to a 60% chance of rain. We're probably gonna get out of here because I don't feel like getting stuck on this dirt road. I think today might be one of our last days of the kind of warmer winter weather. We're heading up north. I think I want to make it up to southern Utah, maybe up into Salt Lake City even. Haven't really decided yet. And then from there, we'll kind of arc back to the west over to California. We'll see. My plan kind of changes on a daily basis, but I think I'm gonna get myself packed up here and get out of here. So as always, I truly appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already, think about clicking that subscribe button. It really does help out the channel. And I will catch you guys next time.